Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, and Scott, as they kick off this week's discussion. Hello everyone, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, the place where we sometimes get together to talk about superheroes saving the day, and sometimes monsters killing children. Which leads me very nicely. Today we are reading and talking about Something is Killing the Children, Volume 2, written by James Tynion IV, art by Werther Dell'Edera, coloured by Miquel Muerto, and lettered by And World Design. My name's Scott. I'm joined by Philip.
Hello.
Shane.
Oh, hoi hoi.
And the man who has chosen this book for us this week for our Herd's Choice, we've got Martin from Sonic's Comics.
Hey everyone.
There we go. How are you doing, Martin?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you for choosing this book. Do you want to tell us what made you want to choose this book?
Well, obviously, when I first joined the herd, when you started season 2, this was one of the first books that drew me in to want to come and sort of get involved. So, with sequels month, I thought it'd be nice just to go back to where I first joined you guys and sort of try and rekindle that first couple of months, you know.
Well, wasn't this our first? No, this was our second book, wasn't it? Of season 2. So this has kind of had that nostalgia for you, really, and you wanted to kind of carry that on. Well, you know, thank you for choosing it. And we're gonna have a pretty good chat by the looks of it, given how Phil's name is and Shane's name is there. So everyone on the podcast listening, Shane's name is Something is Boring the Children, and Phil's name is Something is Pleasing Me.
Sounds wrong out loud, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds very wrong out loud. But before we crack on, let's have a quick look to see who's here. So Liam's here. Howdy ho. Hey buddy, thank you for joining. Dominic is here. Woohoo! I'm on time. Nice. Wow, we're impressed. Yeah. Thank you very much. Triple G is here. Evening chaps. Looking forward to this. Recently read the collected edition. Speaking of, Philip and I have this lovely collected edition. It's awesome. Go on.
I have the slipcase edition, so it's one up, you know.
No. Nah.
Another week where I'm left out of the collected edition club.
Gotta jump in, man. Branded One Arch is here. Hello, everyone. Been a while. It has. Thank you very much for coming back. Lovely to see you. Connie, yo, my dudes. She's trying something different, I think. And Kev's here. Even all haven't read any Killing the Children yet. Well,
start.
Yeah, start. Yeah, exactly. Connie, she's on volume 4 of Something That's Killing the Children. She forgot to send in a page of volume 2. You have time. I can still sort it out. Okay, so if you want to send it in, go ahead. Right. Let me give you a synopsis. Okay. So, Erica Slaughter, she may have slain the monster terrorizing the small Wisconsin town of Archer's Peak, but the horror is far from over. As a mysterious handler from the House of Slaughter arrives in town to clean up her mess and quarantine the townsfolk, Erica sets off deeper into the woods, and because the monster she killed was a mother, now she needs to kill its children. Dun, dun, dun.
Did you write that yourself?
No, copied and pasted it.
So Erica is killing the children. She's the something in this book.
Yeah, it's a whole flip, a whole spin on it. Yeah, really good. Yeah, Shane, you've just improved the story now. Well done.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nice.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and let's go ahead and kick it off. So, Martin, as the man of the hour, literally, would you like to kick us off and tell us your initial thoughts of the book?
Yeah, disappointed.
Okay, cool. Bye, everyone. See you.
You know, coming off such a high from the first one, I did enjoy the first one, which we were talking before. I scored it a 9, so I did really enjoy it. But going into this one, it didn't hold that nostalgic feeling that I had from the first one.
So what gave you that feeling for the first one?
I think, again, it's the hype of this book. The hype was big around this book, which is why I wanted to read it originally. And it, as I said, it's all right when I reread Volume 1 again after reading Volume 2. So I felt it was better on the second time around, going from one to the next. But as a single volume, which is what we're obviously judging it on, it didn't do as well with me. Disappointed.
See,
the only word I can use.
On the hype issue, like, I enjoyed Volume 1, but I did feel slightly underwhelmed by it because of the hype. And sometimes I keep forgetting, like, this is comics. People hype up books not because they're good, because they're worth something sometimes. So I definitely fell into that trap that this book's really hyped. It must be really good. The first volume, as much as I liked it, it wasn't what people were hyping it up to be. This one, vast improvement in my eyes. I think it was far better than the first volume. Far, far better than the first volume.
So why is that though? Is this the classic Volume 2 thing? Is this because of the character development, the world building of the whole thing? Why?
See, this is what, like, I think this is flipped because we've met both Skyward and I forget what was the other one we read?
Once in the Future.
Once in the Future. We did say those kind of second books are quite appeared as filler books. This for me wasn't. I think it was the complete opposite. This is the best second volume of anything we've read so far this month.
This is the definition of filler. Like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like, nothing in this entire book matters in the.
We got so many more other details, so many other people, and they're like, so it gave us more layers to all the characters in the book, all of them.
Things that you could put in a character bio. You could just put in a character bio at the end of an issue.
Yeah, but I want to see it myself. I want to see it for myself. I don't want to read it. I just want to see it for myself. And
it felt like issues 5 and 6 were just aftermath from the first volume. It didn't feel like I was being led anywhere else. It was just, this is what happened previously. Let's just add a little bit more to that. And then we started moving on towards like the House of Slaughter story, which started to bring me back in a little bit. And then when I finally got to that point where I was sort of, you got me back a little bit, it just stopped. And that's where the disappointment lied for me.
There's a little bit of an agreement with you there. So Liam has said, I have to admit that even though I enjoyed this volume, it definitely wasn't up to the standards that Volume 1 set.
Completely agree.
I feel like I'm repeating myself every bloody episode lately for Sequels Month. You know what I'm going to say. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Like, Volume 1 is the hook. Volume 2 is the building. I'll leave it at that. Volume 3, I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's sick. Like, and that's it.
I committed a cardinal sin in the eyes of the nerd herd. Volume 2 was so good that I read on, and I've read this entire book. I know.
Blasphemy.
Couldn't believe it. It has not skewed my score, though, because I had written down my score before I started Volume 3.
That's big brain, that.
Exactly, yeah. But I couldn't not read it. I just wanted to read on because I really enjoyed it. I know. That's
all. Yeah.
I know. I just had to. It was that good. I couldn't put down. I really enjoyed it, and I was really amazed to log on here to see Shane's name, thinking he's taking the proverbial here, but he really means it. He really didn't enjoy it.
I was so bored throughout the entire book as I was reading this. I was just waiting for something to happen. And then, like, even the reveal that, there are babies, it wasn't even, like, revealed as this big boom, boom, boom moment at the end of an issue, you know? It was just this little girl drawing. She's like, oh, yeah, there were babies there as well. And Erica's like, oh, okay, I guess I have to deal with them now. Yeah, but it should have been this massive reveal that she hadn't finished. There were still monsters out there. It was just played off as something that is happening.
I think it kind of played off the trauma this little girl was going from, and just how like numb to everything like she was, and just like, oh yeah, they had babies, and
yeah,
like,
and
she didn't want Erica to kill the babies. She wanted the babies to live. the fact that the babies eat the dead children, well, that's okay because they need to because they're babies. It's like I thought that was great.
And I understand that. I understand that she's traumatized and all that. But she's drawing. She's there drawing. All she's doing is drawing. That's great. So what you do is you have her have a normal conversation with Erica. And Erica just looks down at the picture and she sees more than one monster. And she picks it up. And then we see the picture. And that's the final page of that issue. The big reveal that there are 5 more monsters. But it was just played off as something that's just happening. There was no...
I don't think I would have cottoned on if it was just a drawing. Honestly, I miss stuff like that so easily.
The one negative, I suppose, I'd say, is that girl is it Bian or Bean? I'm not sure how to pronounce her name.
Yeah.
She could probably draw the monsters more menacing than Werther Dell'Edera or whatever.
Oh god!
Because the monsters are the weakest thing for me. It's just like a giant black ant with red eyes. They're not scary. They're not menacing. They're not like I don't want to look at them. Not because they're gross. Like the more gross and scary they are, I'd want to look at them. They stood out like a sore thumb, and that was the one kind of thing about the art I didn't like. But other than that, it was fine. But the monsters could have been scarier.
Yeah, they're literally like Stranger Things rip-offs, aren't they? They're like whatever monster they didn't use in Stranger Things season 4, they'll just use it in something that's killing the children. Whatever's on the floor, they'll just go to the Netflix offices and pick up their designs from the floor. Yeah, I just think it was my gripe with the first volume as well. I don't think we should see the monsters. Children can see the monsters. The House of Slaughter people can see the monsters. We shouldn't be able to see the monsters because we're not either of those things.
What if a child was reading the comic?
A child should not be reading this comic. It's clearly
I mean, you're right. Yeah, but
but your imagination can do so much more than any artist. So, like my page pick it's the reason I've picked the page when I show you it. But it's because you don't see the monster. It's scarier when you just see the aftermath or what the monster is doing. That is much scarier than seeing a little blob of ink on a page that doesn't look scary.
There was just no detail at all. Like if you think I'm a big Venom fan, as you know. Like if you think Venom is black and white, I know. Which would you believe? It's black and white, but the black looks really detailed and kind of like it has stuff on it that makes it look menacing and scary. This, like you're right, it was just a black blob of ink, and it was a bit of a letdown. But the good thing is the story made up for it in my eyes.
What do you think of the rest of the art in general?
I liked it. It was fun.
I like the art. I will say that. I did like the art.
I didn't like it.
It's touch and go, isn't
too
it?
basic. Yeah, basic, but also sketchy. Like,
it is quite the same. It is basic, but that's what I like. The fact that there were some scenes and some panels almost looked like a kind of like a Brubaker Phillips like crime noir novel. The way the art was, and even the way the story was going. I just think it suits the story. It doesn't suit the monsters, but suits the overall kind of town. This kind of like deadbeat kind of small American kind of town. It fits that feel to it, but it is basic. But I think it's fine. I liked it.
I like the sketchy look on some of the faces when you got a little bit closer up, when you could really see that sort of rough look. I thought that was I enjoyed that. Yeah, I really did like that.
Nice. This is definitely a book that's easier to read digitally because of, and this was an issue I think Shane had for the last one. It was when the panels would go over the 2 pages, and this happened again this time.
This whole book seemed to do that.
Oh, I know.
It's fine, but when it doesn't do it, when the page where you think it might do it and it doesn't do it, it's like, right, I've went the wrong way again. So it's like you still went across the pages.
Yeah.
And because this doesn't happen a lot in comics, or we don't read a lot of comics that this happens in, I was, classic, reading this half and then that half, and I get here and I'd be like, shit, and then I have to like start again, do it again, and that happened to me like 3 or 4 times. So it counts. I think it counts in the art section, but I was a bit like, again, like caught me again. Wasn't happy about that.
I don't like that though. I don't like having to have the whole comic like to read 2 pages at once all the time. I know like now and then for a nice big splash page is fine, but this was literally like 2 pages of that, 1 page normal, 2 pages at one, and it was getting a bit much.
It was overkill.
Yeah,
it was overkill. So I read this digitally, so I found it a little bit easier to work around it. But if you're reading the deluxes, you've got the deluxes. Do you not find that you've got the page break right in the middle of some of the panels? Have you not got some of the panels over?
Yeah. No, that happens exactly. Yeah.
But if you stretch your spines, you're not getting too much gutter loss, so it was completely fine.
But also, if you're reading it digitally and you have your reader set to single page, it completely messes you up. You have to set your reader to double page.
I never thought of that. So how did it work then? Did you obviously have to change that, or did you know?
Well, after the first one, and I've read the page from top to bottom, not realizing half the image is missing, and I've turned the page. I've gone, look, this doesn't look right. So then I've had to go back, set it to double page, and then it's like, there you go. That makes more sense. But now I'm reading 2 pages of everything at a time now because I've had to set it for 2 pages. So now I'm seeing things that are happening before I've read it. Do you know what I mean? Which is also annoying. You know, like I'm seeing the next page before I know the build up.
Welcome to reading real comics. I mean,
see, I got round it because I was trying to keep an eye on the right side of the image to see if there was the white border. So if I didn't see the white border, I sort of knew I had to sort of scroll over. And I liked the idea of scrolling over because I didn't know what was coming next. So I felt like going back and forth, being able to read it with a bit of try and build some suspense.
With the deluxe book, to be fair, whenever I had the 2 pages, it didn't take too much off a panel. It just, you could tell the panel was traveling into the next page, but it literally like the smallest of snippet, so you didn't miss anything. There was nothing there to miss and such. So that's when you knew you just carried on this way. Where there were a few times when I did carry on this way, and then I came to like a normal page, and I still read across. For goodness sake, going back that way, but it would definitely be easier reading the deluxe, which I would recommend everyone buy because it's fantastic. Don't listen to these 2 guys above me here tonight.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit for the comments. We've got a few to catch up on. So Connie, she said, second volumes really are the victims of like a second volume blues. Like it's definitely a thing where volume 2 is usually a bit more crap, but I've liked every volume of Something's Killing the Children so far.
Don't hold back. Just say what you think.
Just come mad.
Come
Leah
join us
says,
on the top line, Connie.
Leah's saying this is to do with the whole baby thing. Wasn't it revealed or hinted at that there were babies at the end of volume 1? Reading it felt more of a reminder more than a reveal. Shane, did you not reread before you read this?
Did I? Oh, I almost swore then. See, don't start me off. Did I heck? No, see, but the first one was like, again, forgettable, isn't it? It's just, it's just a very generic, forgettable story overall, like the overall story. In my opinion, you know, reading comic books for 20 plus years, 25 plus years, this is a very generic, you know exactly
proves you're old
story from start to finish.
Doesn't prove your experience comic book. It proves you're old.
It proves I've read this story. I've read this story 100 times in other better, higher quality comics.
I'll give you that. There's regurgitated kind of themes here. Yeah.
Richard's popped in saying he thought Volume 2 was better than Volume 1. It left him desperate to read the next volume, ASAP. I asked him to tell us why in the comments, and he said, I'll post full thoughts tomorrow after he's watched the whole show and the rewind. Have a good evening. So he's teased us. How dare he?
See, Phil said that as well. That he went and wanted to read on, and he did read on. Now, is that because this is not a trade? This is not a complete story. This is just 5 issues in the middle of a story. It continues on from the first volume, and then it because it just stops. It doesn't have an ending. It doesn't have you'll have to come back for the next volume. This literally has next week's issue is going to continue from this very moment. So is it because of that? Because you don't get that full story feel?
Yeah, I agree. To be fair, reading the deluxe from 1 to 15, it does feel like you're going to benefit more just reading the whole thing and taking the whole story. Because there's no real break. Even for the first issue from this volume, from the last issue of Volume 1, it just carries on like the same night, the same people, the same kind of whatever. It doesn't have this kind of breakaway, like you're saying. Kind of reminds me of like the movies, the Halloween movies when Michael Myers gets shot and he falls over the balcony, and then Halloween 2 starts off with him there. That's the same thing, just continues on. And it's great. It's brilliant. Who needs a cliffhanger? Who needs Gertrude getting made queen of Fluffy Land? It's fantastic.
It's not a.
See, I am going to read on, regardless of how disappointed I am with this volume. I am going to carry on because, as Rich said, I feel that need to carry on because I want to know how this arc ends, because I don't feel like I've had the full story, but I wanted to hold off because I didn't want it sort of changing my opinion of this single volume. So that's why I tried to stay away from it.
Thank you very
But
much.
I will, when we finish tonight, I will be reading that
Straight on it.
straight away. I will be.
The
I
best
didn't
thing about
read
this
them.
too, it takes like 30 minutes to read. Like the volumes are really quick. All volumes are really quick. So get done tonight.
Right.
will.
Okay. Few more little things, and we'll do our pages. Triple G said he read the deluxe and he didn't have an issue with the panels. Maybe because he's such a pro at reading comics. He is,
He's
a legend.
45 years reading comics, Shane.
Yeah. And,
Sorry, not a fan. Sorry.
and Dominic said the formatting spreading across the 2 pages was a little bit meh. And Connie said the issue with the format is she reads in trades but refuses to crack the spines of books, so she found it hard sometimes to read. So she's reading like this.
Just
hard to read
peeking it.
sometimes, yeah, because it's not immediately noticeable if it's on one page or the other. Yeah, I agree with that, to be honest. But maybe you should just, crack a spine. It's fine. It's a book. Read it. Okay, let's get to some pages. Let's have a look. Okay, Shane, we'll do yours first to get your point across about the whole invisible monster thing.
Yeah. So I picked the page where the little girl gets ripped in half because you can't see the monster. This is what the adults are seeing. And look how much more terrifying that is. Like you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea what the monster looks like. So in your mind, it's going to look scary. But also, this is a very gross page. I like that the background was taken away. So you get that full image of her just being torn in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the cool page.
Sad.
This was my second
Sad,
pick.
but very cool.
Yeah.
I was surprised, even though like in the first volume and earlier on in this volume, you've seen like the guts of some of the kids. Not that it's okay, but they were slightly older kids. This girl was quite young, and to see her getting cut in half was a bit all right. Just reining it in slightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the fact that the parents or the grown-ups are looking and think, what's happening?
What is going on?
And you're right, Shane. 100% scarier than seeing this giant ant.
Was this the first time in over? Yeah, sorry, giant ant. This is the first time of the 2 volumes. This is the first time you see something happen in like an adult's perspective, where you can't see the monster. Am I right there?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's quite. I think the fact that they blanked out the background is even more impactful.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, it just makes it that much more visceral, doesn't it? Your guts are turning because this poor girl.
Yeah. Okay, Philip.
Mine was the page before Shane's, and again, I felt bad picking this page because the little girl's obviously Peter Pants. She's seen the. It's not how I picked the page, by the way. She's seen the monster and obviously was frightened bad. But the reason why I picked it, I just thought it was really cool. She's playing this little kind of plastic airplane, and she sees the monster and drops it. But then they get that viewpoint of the airplane like falling to the ground. And then obviously the other little kid kind of crying his eyes out.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I just thought it looked really cool. Like really kind of like if it was like a TV show or something, you almost like see it on your screen. I just thought it was really cool. And again, as Shane had mentioned, the fact that you don't see the monster even here, it's the white background. The wee kids are terrified. And she's Peter her trousers to the point that she's so terrified. That was the first point in this book where it actually felt like the monster was scary. And that's why I liked it.
Nice. Me too.
Nice.
Okay, I'll go for mine. It's not a cool looking page at all. I just loved this for all of the different types of emotion that we were getting from Erica in each panel and how it changed and just the anger in her, and you can just see the process that she's going through. And I don't know why I was really drawn to this. I was like, go on, she's really like, she's pissed and she's letting him have it, For anyone listening, this is when this is about halfway through the book maybe, and she's Erica is really shouting at Aaron, her handler from the House of Slaughter. But yeah, having a massive go. But that middle panel where she's probably like biting her lip, I think that's drawn really great. I really like that.
Does anyone else get the idea that if this was going to be a TV show or a movie, which I think it is meant to be, supposedly?
Yeah, on Netflix.
Is it Netflix? Mm-hmm. Okay, they're not going to get this person now, but I think Emma Stone, the actress Emma Stone, that's who I was pictured in my head as Erica Slaughter. I think she'd be perfect for that role, but not for Netflix. They couldn't afford her.
No. But yeah, there we go. There's my page there. Okay, we will go on to Martin's page. And you know earlier when I was like, Connie, send us your page. We'll sort it out really quick. It was the same as Martin, so I didn't have to sort anything out. So here we go. So Martin, would you mind telling us why you chose this page?
See, I like her as a character. I think she looks amazing. I love how in this particular scene when you first see her, when she's about to go on the hunt, I like it how it's quite dark at the forefront and quite light behind her. So you've got like the darkness of her eyes, the focus on her glowing eye. You can see like the definition in like her scars and stuff. You can tell she's a hunter. And I just that was fantastic. As soon as I saw that, I knew that was my page, and I went back through to try and have a look again, and I had to go back. That was the best page of this volume for me. Loved it.
Nice. Yeah, it's great.
I think she's a cool looking character, and I mean these kids these days use the words basic and extra. I don't know what it means half the times, but this, like, she's basic. Like, she's wearing a vest top, pair of jeans, and a wee mask, and she's still a monster hunter. I just think it looks really cool.
Less is more, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, she's literally just a Buffy clone, isn't she? She's Buffy the Bandit. She's wearing a bandana over her mouth.
Yeah, but what a bandana that is, though. Like, I want one of them. Imagine during like the global pandemic, instead of wearing like blue masks, everyone were given them. Just have like thousands of people walking around the street of these.
People did wear these.
Probably everyone should have done it though.
Everyone. Yeah. Right. So thank you very much for that, Martin. Connie's reason for choosing this page is it's just a sick page, to be honest. That's what she said. And she also said she really likes Erica's character design. I think she's creepier than the actual monsters sometimes, but I just like how they draw the characters in this series.
Yeah.
Here we go. And we do have one more page. And it is from Rich, Comics vs. the World. He decided to send in a page because he said he remembered to do it finally. And so here it is. This page here. So he says, all the splash pages are great, but when I stopped and looked at this one, I realised the child had wet themselves in fear at the sight of the monster, and I felt that really solidified how scary a situation they were all in.
Yes, but look at that monster. Like,
I understand it's scary to a child, but to the reader, it's like, shut up, kid. Do you know what I mean? Go to your room.
It's a great page. It emphasizes the drama, like the fear the little kid has, but at the same time, I just have a real big problem with the monster design, and that's the thing. That's like probably one of the bigger issues I have with the book. But it really annoys me. It eats at me, the fact that this is so bad. It should be better. Make the monster scarier, please.
Or do you know what I would let it off if it looked different to every single child and it was like just their imagination that designed the monster, because then it could be basic. The monster, because it's a child. Children of different ages would have different imaginations, so it would be a giant ant or a giant spider, so if it was completely different every time we saw it because we were seeing it through a different child's eyes, I could probably forgive it. But because it's, like you said, it's a giant ant, it's not scary.
You should write comics.
I should write comics.
Do it, mate. Get a Kickstarter going.
Do you not think that it might? Do you not think, like, with all three of your guys' photos, like your pictures, it's all from the same scene? So doesn't that say a lot for the rest of the book when majority is focusing on that one scene from the final issue? That says a lot that the rest of the issues are nowhere near as memorable as that final sort of like build up to the next lot.
Yeah, there's no question the art throughout was fairly basic. There was no kind of, other than the Erica Slaughter page that you and Connie picked, there was no kind of like iconic kind of look really. That was the first page that stood out artistically in terms of it. It's not just a picture of the monster and the kid. It's like they're portraying the fear.
Yes.
And
yeah.
one of my notes I have here is that this doesn't feel like a horror book anymore. I think it's sold as a horror story. It's not, but I can see by that. But that page and that scene that I refer to, certainly, I think is the only one I can think that emphasizes that kind of fear, really, because kids are just talking about these monsters. No one believes them, but this is the first time, like Shane mentioned, the adults can see it, and it's real. It feels real at this point.
I'm trying to think of the impact this will have on the town. Was it Archer's Peak as a whole now? Because they mention it a few times. Yeah, if they survive, they mention it in this story a few times. Like, they're trying to keep it contained and they don't want it to spread and they don't want everyone to know about it and all this. And yeah, how will it impact? We see a lot to do with the police, the sheriff and the people that work for him and stuff like that. Like, how will all of them get impacted? What will happen to them? Will they try to do something about it? Will they run away? Who knows? And so I'm really hoping that moment drives Volume 3.
Well, judging by the way the House of Slaughter work, they want to keep monsters under wraps. So everyone at that school, they'll just nuke the school. They'll just they'll have to, like, because he came, didn't he? What's his name? The handler. He came and he was going to kill the young boy because Erica told him and he can see monsters, and because he's not part of the house, he was going to kill him. So if these people now know about monsters, the House of Slaughter are going to come and just cleanse the town.
I'm trying to keep quiet because I have read on, obviously.
Okay.
It does seem that way because of the actions from the house, even earlier on in this volume. That was his intention. What we're doing about the boy, kill him.
Yeah.
So it was, and that's what it was. Take him out.
You can't cover this up. They saw a girl rise in the air with their own eyes and then rip in half. It wasn't just. It'd be different if these monsters just touched children and they died. And they just fell, and they fed on their souls or something. That would be different. But they're actually feeding on their bodies. So you have eyeballs. You can see this happening. You can't go to them. Oh, there was a gas leak. It's all right. She's fine.
Okay, so Liam said he didn't like how this volume ended. I think this might be the first time a volume I've read has felt unfinished. It tried a cliffhanger but failed to realise that cliffhangers are still meant to be an end point.
100% accurate. Yep.
Yeah.
To be fair, I liked Aaron as a character. Mm-hmm. I didn't care for his death. It didn't faze me. I think that they were trying to obviously.
He was barely in it.
Yeah. I think they're trying to show that here's a death of a kind of big character where, he was there.
But... Well, let's move on to that. The fact that we have now learnt about the House of Slaughter, and obviously we see a little bit in Volume 1, don't we? Like towards the very end, where they're all on like a boardroom table, aren't they? And you see all their eyes glowing, and they got the little toys with them and all this kind of thing. But yeah, this is the first time you actually see like a glimpse into it, and who some sort of a hierarchy in there maybe, and what they do and why they do it, and then you see a little picture of a young Erica Slaughter in like some sort of, I don't know, sailor girl outfit. You know what I mean? Like
I thought it said school uniform.
Yeah, that. It just looked weird.
Dress her up as a sailor.
Say cheese. It was just, that bit was a bit weird. I don't know why they did that, but hopefully we'll find out in the future, because I know Volume 4 is like the origin. Is it Volume 4? So hopefully we'll find out then.
That was all more interesting. Like those few pages were more interesting than this entire book. Mm-hmm. Like just like those parts I want to know about the house. I want to know how it started. I want to know why it got to the stage where it is at. Well, exactly. I know they have a book out, but I'm not reading that. I'm reading something is killing the children, and you've teased it, but you've not told me anything. So I would probably enjoy that more than this, because this is just a third-rate Buffy comic. Really,
Phil,
when you
mate.
get down to the bones of it, it's a third-rate Buffy.
Phil,
There's a Buffy comic out, so why are you reading this? Go read the Buffy comic.
Yeah, but
This
the
is
Buffy
irrelevant.
comics,
There's
the
Buffy
bulk-
comic. Go read it.
I can't buy the Buffy comics.
To be fair, I do agree with you to an extent. Like you know, even to the look of Erica Slaughter, they've got this young girl who's a monster hunter. It screams of Buffy having a higher order, having a handler,
Watchers
a
Council.
watcher. Exactly.
Watcher,
It's all the same themes, and there's no question. Like the kind of the bulk of this story, it's probably done hundreds of times in books. I just think in this occasion, it's just it's got me hooked and really enjoyed it. It also hinted towards stuff towards the order, like even like the little puppet thing she has, a little purple puppet that was like the first monster she killed somehow is in that puppet or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say anything else. It just mentions it and then moves along.
This is my problem. Like, it's just like, if that's supposed to be the first monster that she killed, you remember how detailed that looked in Volume 1 when we saw like the kind of ghostly kind of thing of it? Yeah, it looked really cool, really detailed. That's the kind of thing I would have liked to have seen be the main monster in this, something like that. Not just the blacky blobs that we see. So I'm just really hoping that this is just, you know, the basic monster that we're seeing in this story to just get used to things, and then it's going to ramp up, because we know there are different types, there are different grades, there are different levels of all these monsters and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it's not just this. Like we had the mum, we've got the babies, and then we can kind of chuck that away after it's all dealt with, and we can have something cool after that.
The dad will rock in, and he'll have spikes and a helmet and a spear, and he'll.
That all may come to pass in Volume 3. Who knows? I do, but I'm content. I kind of want to talk about the characters away from the order, because for me, Sheriff Kavanagh, I think he was my favorite throughout. I thought he was really, really good. Because he has like the weight of the town on his shoulders, to offer an explanation to the parents, the people, and he doesn't know the answer. And he's putting a lot of trust into this Erica character, and even this Aaron character. Doesn't know who they are, knows they're dodgy as hell, but has no other choice to let them kind of solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I just think throughout the whole book, when he's talking to his brother, who's like what do you call it, those people who dissect bodies? What are they called? His brother's one of those guys.
Autopsy.
That guy. And then even the principal Collins, like the whole, you can just tell he's just completely lost, completely out of his depth. But I really enjoyed him. I thought he was really good.
It's just kind of like seeing the real world impact, real world on, how this kind of secret world has impacted these people living their real lives. And, you see some of them, like the headmaster of the school, he kind of says, I never thought, I'd have to deal with anything like this ever in my life, being in such a small town, being a headmaster of a school and all this. And it's just like, yeah, you're right, mate.
I love like the sheriff's brother as well, Tim, you call him. Like he's like talking to the principal, and next thing he offers him beer because they're so distraught. It's like, just have a beer, just sink the beer now, because with no reason to explain it. It's going to help. Drink as many as you can. It's going to help.
Yeah,
I just adored all the characters, and I think that it's one of the problems I have with the book is that it's not a horror book, and it becomes something different. But I really enjoyed what it became.
Yeah. Martin, what do you think of the story overall? Any likes, any gripes?
See, I did like the story overall, because I feel like it's going to go somewhere else. This is why I really want to read the third volume. I agree with Phil. Like, there were certain characters that I did enjoy. The sheriff being one. I got the sort of Hopper Stranger Things vibe from him.
Yeah.
The sheriff out of his depth, not knowing what's going on, trying to figure this all out. I didn't mind the James character as well, the young lad that was with Erica, because you knew that he was after something more than what she was willing to give him. He was a pawn, so to speak. But I liked that side of the development of the characters. There was nothing wrong, I felt, with some of the characters, and the story itself I didn't find big issues with, but I just didn't feel this volume delivered. It just didn't. It just didn't have the impact that the first one did.
This is such a. I know you've said this is like a third-rate Buffy, but for me, I never watched Buffy. I didn't grow up with Buffy, so for me, this is a first. You know. So
I'm the same.
is
I'm
it?
not a Buffy.
So were you dragged in because of it's such a niche type of thing, and it's a very like taboo type thing. You know, you go to a comic shop and you see a title called "Something is Killing the Children." You're gonna go, "What the hell is that?" And either you're gonna be completely like, repulsed by it or intrigued. So
That's the problem. It's such a cool name. Such a cool name for a book with such a cool looking main character. I'm a massive Buffy fan. Give me a 5 foot blonde kicking demon butt. I'm there. You know what I mean? I will buy a ticket, sit in the front row. Done. But I got with that. My problem with the volume that I had with the first volume is the monster. It is not scary, and if you can't draw a scary monster, don't draw it. It just took me straight out of it. As soon as I saw the design for the creature, I was like, okay, so generic monster is killing the children. You can remove the something from your title now. We know what it is. It's monsters that aren't scary.
yeah,
Just don't draw them, especially when you don't have to. The page I showed with the girl being ripped open, you could even show Erica fighting nothing. You know, you can show her getting thrown around. You can show her slashing and blood coming from nothing.
yeah.
You can do all that, and your imagination will fill in the gaps to a degree that no artist will ever be able to reach. And it was just such a massive letdown. Like, I know you haven't watched Buffy. Some of the monster designs for Buffy, which had a TV budget, were absolutely amazing, like full prosthetics and everything. And you believed that they were demons. You believed they were vampires. You know, you didn't have a giant ant monster walking on screen, like a CG, mind flare thing that was just so generic that you just weren't afraid of it. You know, you see these things, it felt real when Buffy was fighting them. And this just doesn't seem like it should be a threat for her. It's just a round blob of darkness.
See, I don't want to compare the art styles because they're chalk and cheese, but we read Colder last Halloween, wasn't it? For Halloween month. Yeah. And it was gory, but it was scary. Like
Yes,
it was a scary book. And I'm not saying this person should draw like that, but just maybe lean a bit towards that more, by putting something else into the monster. I'm totally in agreement with Shane. The monster was just it's annoying me. It's a big letdown. I've had a more scary monster, or else, as Shane's mentioned, don't have the monster like we've seen on his page. Just make it mean more, because it's borderline comedy.
The title would make more sense then, wouldn't it, if you couldn't see it? Because it would be something is killing the children. We will never know what it is because they will never show us. That would be a great hook.
I'm not sure if you said this pre-show or in the show, but it's not something is Erica killing the children, because she's killing the first monsters, 5 children.
Monster children, yes, in this issue.
So Erica's killing the children.
it would have made the story so much better. I totally agree with Shane if they didn't show the monster, because you also would have got that like Predator vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of they're hunting from the shadows. You're only seeing maybe a little glimpse of something there that keeps that mystery going. And it also bolsters down what you've called your book. They revealed it too quick.
Yeah. And it's just let it down for me. It let me down so quickly in the book that I just lost all interest. And then volume 2 was just boring. This was just a nothing book. The only part of this book that I enjoyed, and I say enjoyed, I didn't like it, I just thought it was really well done, is when all the parents are outside the school waiting to identify their children.
That was good.
And
that was heartbreaking.
the mother is like, I'm not leaving until I've seen my daughter. And I just thought that's been done obviously loads of times in other things, but it was done really well here, especially when.
And she still hasn't seen it.
No, she got called up, and then they were like, no, we'll continue tomorrow now, and she's like, I'm not leaving. She's like, I'm going to see my daughter. I was like, that felt real. That's exactly what the parents would do. Mm-hmm. And it was just so heartbreaking when he's like, have you called this person in? And he's like, I'm still on the A's or whatever, like as he's going down the list. There was so many bodies. It was heartbreaking. But that was the only part of the book that I enjoyed for the writing.
See, this that's where I think the book became something different. It became less about the monsters and more about the impact on the town and the people within it. Like the distraught mom who kind of hasn't give up hope she'll find her daughter, but doesn't know the full story. But her son Tommy knows because he's seen her and hasn't told her. Um, Again, obviously the sheriff and stuff. The weight on his shoulders. The principal, to be fair, is like he's like I think in Volume 1 I referred to him being really young. I don't think he kind of. I'll say it doesn't care. He obviously cares, but like he's no idea how to handle this, so he's completely winging it, and he's hilarious at it. And I just think that that's the story. It's the impact on everyone, I suppose, just the monsters killing kids because they're killing kids willy nilly. Like 3 more boys died in one scene in this volume, and then obviously the girl, they're just killing the kids. It's more the impact on the people left behind, which I really enjoy in the story.
Yeah, of course. Speaking earlier of the title and the impact of it, Connie says she actually picked it up because of the title. It was her first intentional comic buy.
Intentional. I love that she's accidentally bought comics.
Whoops! Whoa, what have I done? I've accidentally bought the comics. Sean's here as well. He says, "Evening, peeps." Hey, buddy. And he says, "But would you say that if you've seen it in a live-action TV show, would you think that the monster would be scary then?"
Well, no, because I have seen it in live action. It's in Stranger Things. It's called the Mind Flare. It's just a big black blob on the screen. It's nothing. It's not scary, is it? The Mind Flare isn't as scary as the Demidog or the Demigorgon. Those are the scary monsters. Where the Mind Flare is just
this ominous.
It's like the smoke on Lost. It's just not scary. It's just a blob of something.
I guarantee, and I'll say it now, if this does get made as a TV show, they'll change the monster design. They'll make it more scarier.
They'd have to.
They have to. Yeah. You know, like it's already got a director. It's going. It's in production. You know, so I will be looking forward to seeing it. But obviously, you have the you have the hopes then of any comic adaptation. Will it live up to? Will it either be consistent with the book or will it surpass the book? That's all you want. You never want it to be worse.
The problem I have as well. Sorry, just on that with the TV show. I think it's clear, and indie comics do it all the time. It's not to do with this writer or anything. It's clear that he's writing this story for a TV show. The way it kind of flows really nicely. He's not writing a comic. He's writing a screenplay, essentially. I think, and that it's not. I don't like it. I'm nothing against it, but I just think it's clear as day what they're trying to do. The problem with the TV show, if it does come to pass, that there's definitely Stranger Things vibes here. And Stranger Things exists, which is probably the greatest TV show in recent times. Yeah. It's not going to be better. This won't be better than Stranger Things. If it's going to try to be, then it's going to be blown out of the water.
It'll just make it its own thing.
Yeah.
And Buffy's being rebooted as well. So if Buffy comes on at the same time as this, this is going to have to step up. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Just in. Branded One Arch was saying he kind of wished he's picked up this book now. Because of the art, but he does tend to agree with Shane in the past. So he usually agrees with you, Shane, but this time he hasn't, and he wants the book.
Absolutely fine. I know everyone has a different taste in art, and for me, I understand it's a horror book, and yes, it does fit that. But I mean, if Dan Mora was drawing this book, I think I would have picked it up myself.
Yeah, fair enough.
He would have done this really well.
Yeah.
What did you think about the? I'm calling it a twist. I'm not sure, but the only way to kill these little baby monsters was by making them eat more children, so they would stop. So they wouldn't become like transparent. You know what I mean? You wouldn't go through them. So what did you think about that?
Didn't they? They just kind of brushed past that so easily. They didn't really. That's why we can't kill them. It's not going to work because they're not really there because you need to eat them first, and I need bait. It didn't really explain it. It just flew past it, and then they refer to some sort of ritual as well. They have to do as well, and again, these things aren't explained because we don't know nothing about the order really, to be honest. And they just brushed past it. They didn't really need. They just said it. And give it.
Like I like the kind of like the thought it was making me have. The kind of impact again it's going to have on a lot of people. Like someone's child must die in order for them to eat and for them to be able to stop it. So you know, you kind of had to make a sacrifice in order to stop it. And I thought that was quite a dark path to go down in terms of this, but it was, you know, good to think about.
The other thing too, I don't know what they meant by this, that they had to, so they took James, or Ariga used James, but also they wanted the girl to be bait because she was left behind or something like that. Again, they didn't really explain what's, like, they had their scent or something. Like, what do they mean by this? So there are little things they've kind of included, but didn't really branch out on. That hopefully they do the overall story, but it's just, again, for this one volume, you're reading it thinking, what does this mean? You know,
I'm hoping it gets explained in the next volume, because otherwise, what was the point? That is the big thing. You know, what is the point if you're going to lay this foundation and tell us that, you know, you can't kill them unless they're eating, or you need these children round to sort of, you're laying foundation as a like well building. You're building something towards what you're going to tell us with this. You know, if it's not in the next volume, because I'm expecting after 15 we're going to be seeing a new monster. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, if they don't elaborate more on it on the next volume.
Just on that point about a new monster, this is one of the things that I was making excuses for this book of why the monster was so weak, because they want to build up to something down the line that's scarier. That's my excuse. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I hope that is the case, that they couldn't draw this big, massive bad early on because they want the bigger bad down the line to be bigger and scarier. So they thought to draw this tame little thing that you could squash yourself, really. The question I have actually for you guys, is Erica Slaughter, like, is she super powered? Does she have super strength or anything like that? Or is she just a normal girl? Because she broke Tommy Mahoney's arm, and it all seemed very easy. I'm just wondering if she's like super strong.
I think she's just trained very well.
Yeah,
she's got experience, because even she said to her handler, you send me when you want stuff done, you don't get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
So I think she's just so experienced, and same with the picture that the page I chose, you can see she's had her wars because of all of her scars and you know the way she speaks from experience. You know, that's the impression I got.
Speaking of Tommy, do you mind?
Yeah.
What's going on with him? Like, he now has the ability to see these monsters. Is he going to have some sort of bigger impact, you know, in this world? Is he going to join the House of Slaughter? Like, what's going? Like, they can't.
He's
like,
going to be a sidekick.
He either joins or he has to get killed, because he can see these monsters and he's gonna, you know, let it all out to the world. So,
Erica wouldn't let them kill him, even if he didn't want to join.
Yeah,
I don't think Erica would let him die, because she's the one that did it to him. So I don't think she would, because I mean that's essentially slavery or death. You're choosing, you know, you work for the House of Slaughter or you die. And I don't think Erica, I mean, I don't know her very well. I've only seen her I've only read about her for two volumes, but I don't see her as being like mean spirited like that.
Yeah,
Erica's one of those characters I think is definitely torn between, like, maybe what she's being brainwashed by the Order. Is it the Order of St. George? It's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then obviously because she was adopted into this order because she was a kid whose parents died, so she's obviously torn between this and, like, you know, leans more towards the kind of human aspect. So I don't think she would. You're right. She wouldn't do that to Tommy. I wouldn't kill him because she remembers she's human.
Yeah, and I'm just going to put this out there now. The flashback we saw where the woman came to save her, that's her real mum, and she was just adopted by those people. I'm just putting it out there. Because she looked exactly like Erica.
Doesn't look
it was
far
just,
off.
it was just an older version of Erica.
I just seen Charlize Theron, to be honest. That's what I'd seen.
That's a casting shout right there. Well done. Okay, like, I feel like we could keep talking about this for another half hour or so, but unfortunately we've got to cut it off there. So it's time to give our thoughts and scores. Everyone in the chat, it seems like quite a few of you read the book, so please go ahead and give us your score, and then we'll add that to ours, and then it'll all get totted up and we'll put on the leaderboard. So, Martin, as you were the man who chose this book, would you mind kicking us off, please, and giving us your score out of 10 and why?
Okay, I'm going to go up a little bit more than what I originally was going to go at, but
Job done, Scott.
Yeah, a little bit. But I say I like the art. I loved that rough sort of scratchy, sketchy type art. I thought that served the story well. Yes, this volume story wasn't that great for me, but I did feel I enjoyed it more going from volume one to volume two. I'm hoping that now I've read both back to back, volume three is going to give me that experience I've been looking for. But unfortunately, volume two did not live up to the first. So for me, I'm going to give it a 7.
Ooh, okay, thank you very much.
Nice.
Great. So Shane.
So I mean, I didn't hate this book. I didn't hate volume 1. You know, I don't hate it. There's nothing to hate about this book. I don't love it. For me, this is the equivalent of like boiled rice. You know, it's bland. It's it's uninspired, and it's just it's just like you've got to put something on the plate, and there it is. You know, and you'll eat it, and it's content you've consumed at the end of the day. Erica as a character, she's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so props for that. The houses, the Watchers Council, this is Buffy. This is 2022 Buffy, really. Once there you go. Yeah, the only difference is she doesn't have the power. She's not chosen. She's not special. But then again, she might be, because maybe we'll find out later on that she's 1 in a million and she's got something special. But this isn't a book I will read by choice, but I'm happy to carry on reading it for the herd. If it pops up again, I'm not going to scoff at reading volume 3. But yeah, this is the flat line. This is the line that you don't want to be on the line. You want to be above the line because you want to be good, and you don't want to be below the line because you don't want to be bad, but you don't want to be on that flat line either. And that's what this is. This is just a nothing book for me. So yeah, to be fair, I have to just give it a 5. It's just so middling.
5. Holy moly! Just to put it in perspective, you gave volume 1 a 6.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Pete is coming in saying it's like boiled rice. That's the Netflix promo tag right there. Something's killed the children. It's like boiled rice. Wow. Great. So we got some great scores coming in. Phil, can we have yours?
I think this is egg fried rice with spicy sauce on top. To be honest, I really enjoyed it. There are some down points. There's no question that this is not a horror book. It tries to be, but became something different. But I really enjoyed what it became. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the kind of anguish on people's kind of like how they cope with it and how they're dealing with it. There's not a character I do not like. I like them all. This book, for me, ramped it up a notch from volume 1, because volume 1 was like, here's the scene, here's the monster, kill it. Now it's just like the after effect, what's happening, and but in a good way, like not in a filler kind of way. Art is fine apart from the monsters. No question, the monsters are the worst part about this book. Like, it really annoys me to the point like it really annoys me, because it should be better. I wish it would have been better, because then it would get a better score. I am no way biased because I bought the hard deluxe. I want to enjoy the book. I'd be willing to hate the book if I had to, and I don't really enjoy it. Really glad I picked it up. Really glad I read it. Far better, well, not far, slightly better than volume 1. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Awesome. Nice. You gave it a 7.5 for the last one. So there we go. Thank you very much. Okay, so we got a few scores in. We've got an 8 out of 10 from Sean. Thank you very much. Pete says 7 for me for this volume. Great. Liam says, I gave volume 1 a 9. And has been said, volume 2 very much just feels like filler, and I'm really hoping volume 3 gets back to volume 1 standards. I came in today thinking 7 out of 10, but after the talk, it's a 6. Okay.
Let us know why you went down, because Martin went up.
Yeah. So there we go. Also, and we do have another score that was sent in before the show from Rich, Comics versus the World. He likes to watch everything on the rewind, and he has given his score 9 out of 10.
Are you laughing?
Don't laugh too much, Shane. That's not very nice. Everyone's scored. It was my delivery, it was really, I'm sure. So he scored it 9 out of 10 because he felt that we got to know the characters better in this volume. And when he finished it, he immediately grabbed the next one off the shelf to find out what happened next. So that was 9 out of 10 for him. Everything grabbed
Same.
him. The development and the growth and all that. Really, really enjoyed it. My score then. You know, it was a cool book. Again, Volume 1. That was the big pull for me. You know, I never read anything like this before. This is Something Killing the Children. Volume 1 was one of the first comics and trades I ever read. So this, it kind of did have a nice place in my heart for Volume 1. But then going on to Volume 2, whilst I enjoyed it, it didn't have the same impact. But it was still a pretty cool read. The paneling issue just bugged me. It was like when I stopped reading all of this, it was like, right, what's the worst thing about this story so far? And it was like, just the paneling just did my head in. I just kept like falling for it, and I would never learn. But that was that. The monster design, Shane, you said it wasn't scary, and it definitely would have been a lot more scarier if we just didn't see it. But in my opinion, what the scariest thing that was happening was what we were... Oh, God, what am I saying? The scariest thing that was going on in the book was what was actually happening, not the monsters themselves. And yeah, and the other thing I've written is just this is good for anyone who's not watched Buffy, apparently. But anyway, yeah, you know, I jest, but overall, I'm gonna give this book a 7. And just for everyone's just to be clear, I gave Volume 1 a 8.5, so I've gone down 1.5 points. But yeah, it just didn't hit. I enjoyed it. You know, we learned stuff about the House of Slaughter and the origin and stuff like that, but it just didn't hit quite the same. But there we go. So that is it. And we've also just had a sneaky score as well from Connie. She's given it an 8 out of 10 as well. So thank you very much. Okay, so let me just do my quick maths. Okay, we got him. Right, so you guys in the audience, we got a 9 from Rich, a 7 from Martin, we got an 8 from Sean, a 7 from Pete, a 6 from Lee, and an 8 from Connie. That gives you an average of 7.5. Bang on. Great. Nice. Thank you very much for that. Adding that onto Philip's 8, Shane's 5, and my 7, we get a grand total of 6.9. There we go, Philip. You're shaking your head there. Sorry, buddy.
I thought we calibrated before we went live. Remember, we looked at the scoreboard.
Calibrated.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and see where this comes on the leaderboard. Let's show you the top 10.
Don't bother showing that one.
Unfortunately, just for everyone to see, Shane, what the current top 10 is. Here's the top 10. Unfortunately, it doesn't come there. So 6.9. Where does it come on the rest of our leaderboard? It comes in 15th place, pushing down Black Widow's Shield Most Wanted, Critical Role, Vox Machina Volume 1, and Monstrous Volume 2, which came in at 6.8. So it just squeezes in there. There we go.
Justice for Erica. I think it needs to be higher.
Justice for Erica. But this has been really fun. We have had, how many weeks? 5 weeks of sequels now, and it's been an absolute blast. Sequels month is my favourite time of the year for Nerdhood, and I'm kind of gutted to see it end. But we are now going back to regular programming, and we're going to let you know what we've got coming up next week. And it's Shane's pick. Here we go. There we go. Shane, do tell everyone what we've got coming up next week.
Next week we're reading Young Justice, A League of Their Own from 1998, written by Peter David.
Such an old book.
It's such an old book.
Hey, so I'll read then, Scott.
I was 6. I was 6 years old, man. But there we go. That's what we've got. Martin, I want to say thank you very much again for choosing this book and for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you again. And as always, it's amazing to see you in the chat every week. And keep reading along every week as well. Are you still on your streak?
Going strong.
Awesome. It's brilliant. Well done. Thank you very much. And to everyone else, thank you very much for joining. And all we've got left to do now is to get our little waves out, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Love you.